تواصل بلادي الإمارات العربية المتحدة.
For the past 26 days, my country, the United Arab Emirates, has been countering treacherous and terrorist attacks launched by Iran. These attacks have involved more than 200 ballistic and cruise missiles and drones targeting vital civilian facilities, airports, residential areas, and civilian sites across the country. These attacks constitute flagrant violations of the UAE's sovereignty and of international humanitarian law. Today, we are not merely witnessing a military escalation. We are seeing systematic, reckless behavior that undermines the foundations of the international order and threatens regional and international security and stability. This is especially concerning given that infrastructure directly linked to civilian safety, energy security, the global economy, and global supply chains have been targeted. Iran's treacherous attacks have not targeted countries that have declared war on it, but rather its neighbors, countries that have repeatedly called for and made strenuous efforts over the past months to avert this path of escalation based on their firm belief that military solutions breed crises and have grave consequences for the region. Mr. President, Iran is now isolated from its neighbors and the international community. It is blatantly defying the United Nations Charter and attempting to destabilize international order through reckless actions aimed at asserting its dominance. Furthermore, we note that Iran is seeking to justify its completely unprovoked and irresponsible attacks by labeling them as retaliatory strikes. We categorically reject any justifications or excuses issued by Iran to justify these cowardly actions, ignoring the UAE's clear position that it will not allow its territory to be used in any military operations against Iran. In this context, the glaring contradiction between Iran's narrative of good neighborliness and its actual practices cannot be ignored. This includes its justification for targeting civilians, infrastructure, and civilian sites, such as airports, ports, oil and tourism facilities, vital infrastructure, stations, and residential buildings. This terrorist aggression resulted in the martyrdom of 2 members of the armed forces performing their national duty, the deaths of 6 civilians, and the injury of 161 people of 29 different nationalities. Moreover, these repercussions and brutal attacks extend beyond the region's borders. Their continuation threatens vital shipping lanes and corridors, including the Strait of Hormuz. This undermines the stability of energy markets and global supply chains and exacerbates economic and social pressures. This directly affects people's rights to security and development. Mr. President, the United Nations Security Council adopted the historic Resolution 2231, which condemns the treacherous Iranian attacks against the United Arab Emirates, the Gulf Cooperation Council states, and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan in the strongest terms. The resolution was co-sponsored by 136 United Nations member states. This resolution sends a clear and unified message that the international community will not permit or tolerate attacks on state sovereignty or the deliberate targeting of civilians and infrastructure. In this regard, we call on the Council today to take decisive action to condemn the human rights violations resulting from Iran's unlawful attacks on countries that are pillars of peace and stability in the region. Mr. President, I would like to remind any critics of the United Arab Emirates model that it has been built on good neighborliness and bridge building since its founding. It is guided by the vision of a dignified life, tolerance, coexistence, and the rejection of hatred. Our model is also based on well-established, forward-looking economic strategies, as well as an openness to the world to the establishment of sustainable international partnerships. This has made the UAE's economy one of the world's leading and most resilient economies. Most importantly, our model is founded on unshakable principles and an unwavering commitment to achieving development and prosperity. We reaffirm the UAE's right to take all necessary measures to protect its sovereignty and national security under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. We emphasize through this platform that Iran's treacherous attacks have confirmed the strength of our institutions, the resilience of our national system, the unity of our society, and the resolve of our people. Thank you, Mr. President.
The suffering is compounded when false and fabricated narratives replaced with realities are accepted as truth, when defenders are recast as enemies. The malevolent regime of Israel has cunningly turned the President of the United States as executor of its wicked designs. Such mastery poses a grave threat to the entire world. Israel is not merely attacking Iran, nor solely striking at Lebanon, nor even undermining Palestine. It is assaulting the very fabric of regional order and dragging the entire world toward chaos and peril. Today, we assure our neighbors that Iran will not be the last focus. After Iran, you will become even more accessible targets for the execution of sinister ideological agendas of Israeli regime. Those who are today appearing as your friends will cast off their masks tomorrow. For more than 4 decades, Israel has orchestrated the project of Iranophobia, and now they have prepared the grounds of conflict to give life to their malevolent narratives, to draw a wedge between us, and to weaken us altogether. We urge the people of our region to respond with heightened awareness, wisdom, and understanding. We fight on behalf of all of you against an enemy that, if not restrained today, will be beyond containment tomorrow. The coordinated invasion against Iran began with a profoundly tragic, brutal attack against Minab school on 28 February. The Minab attack and the other strikes on civilian infrastructures in Iran, including our Islamic cultural heritage site in Isfahan, desalination facilities, oil refineries, stadiums, hospitals, and petrochemical complexes in Asaluye, Kharg Island, and the residential homes of the Iranian people are originated from US bases in some of our neighboring countries. Airfields and deserts in those countries have become the refueling points for the fighter jets that every day drop their bombs on the Iranian people. And how could all of this happen while we were confident in our neighbors and friends, believing that they would never lease their land or airspace for attacks against Iran? Responsibility for these attacks lies not only with those who carried out those attacks, but also with those who facilitated, supported, and encouraged them. Iran considers it its right to respond to attacks at their source and to prevent any repetition of aggression. Finally, Mr. President, our message to our neighbors is that we must be united for the sake of our shared values, geography, and future. We must unite against the evil plans of our common enemy, Israel. Do not embolden Israel by targeting Iran, and only Iran, in political and legal fora. It is a historic mistake.